Numbers 31. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Avenge the Israelites on the Midianites. Afterward you shall be gathered to your people. So Moses said to the people, Arm some of your number for the war, so that they may go against Midian, to execute the Lord's vengeance on Midian. You shall send 1,000 from each of the tribes of Israel to the war. So out of the thousands of Israel, 1,000 from each tribe were conscripted, 12,000 armed for battle. Moses sent them to the war, 1,000 from each tribe, along with Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, with the vessels of the sanctuary and the trumpets for sounding the alarm in his hand. They did battle against Midian as the Lord had commanded Moses, and killed every male. They killed the kings of Midian, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian, in addition to others who were slain by them, and they also killed Balaam, son of Beor, with the sword. The Israelites took the women of Midian and their little ones captive, and they took all their cattle, their flocks, and all their goods as booty. All their towns where they had settled, and all their encampments they burnt, but they took all the spoil and all the booty, both people and animals. Then they brought the captives and the booty and the spoil to Moses, to Eleazar the priest, and to the congregation of the Israelites at the camp on the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho. Moses, Eleazar the priest, and all the leaders of the congregation went to meet them outside the camp. Moses became angry with the officers of the army, the commanders of thousands and the commanders of hundreds who had come from service in the war. Moses said to them, Have you allowed all the women to live? These women here, on Balaam's advice, made the Israelites act treacherously against the Lord in the affair of Peor, so that the plague came among the congregation of the Lord. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman who has known a man by sleeping with him, but all the young girls who have not known a man by sleeping with him, keep alive for yourselves. Camp outside the camp 7 days. Whoever of you has killed any person or touched a corpse, purify yourselves and your captives on the 3rd and on the 7th day. You shall purify every garment, every article of skin, everything made of goats' hair, and every article of wood. Eleazar the priest said to the troops who had gone to battle, This is the statute of the Lord that the Lord has commanded Moses: gold, silver, bronze, iron, tin, and lead. Everything that can withstand fire shall be passed through fire, and it shall be clean. Nevertheless, it shall also be purified with the water for purification, and whatever cannot withstand fire shall be passed through the water. You must wash your clothes on the 7th day, and you shall be clean. Afterward you may come into the camp. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, You and Eleazar the priest and the heads of the ancestral houses of the congregation make an inventory of the booty captured, both human and animal. Divide the booty into 2 parts between the warriors who went out to battle and all the congregation. From the share of the warriors who went out to battle, set aside as tribute for the Lord 1 item out of every 500, whether persons, oxen, donkeys, sheep, or goats. Take it from their half and give it to Eleazar the priest as an offering to the Lord. But from the Israelites' half, you shall take 1 out of every 50, whether persons, oxen, donkeys, sheep, or goats, all the animals, and give them to the Levites who have charge of the tabernacle of the Lord. Then Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord had commanded Moses. The booty remaining up from the spoil that the troops had taken totaled 675,000 sheep, 72,000 oxen, 61,000 donkeys, and 32,000 persons in all, women who had not known a man by sleeping with him. The half share, the portions of those who had gone out to war, was in number 300, 37,500 sheep and goats, and the Lord's tribute of sheep and goats was 675. The oxen were 36,000, of which the Lord's tribute was 72. The donkeys were 30,500, of which the Lord's tribute was 61. The persons were 16,000, of which the Lord's tribute was 32 persons. Moses gave the tribute, the offering for the Lord, to Eleazar the priest, as the Lord had commanded Moses. As for the Israelites' half, which Moses separated from that of the troops, the congregation's half was 337,500 sheep and goats, 36,000 oxen, 35,500 donkeys, and 16,000 persons. From the Israelites' half, Moses took one of every 50, both of persons and of animals, and gave them to the Levites who had charge of the tabernacle of the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Then the officers who were over the thousands of the army, the commanders of thousands and the commanders of hundreds, approached Moses and said to Moses, "Your servants have counted the warriors who are under our command, and not one of us is missing. And we have brought the Lord's offering, what each of us found, articles of gold, armlets and bracelets, signet rings, earrings and pendants, to make atonement for ourselves before the Lord." Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from them, all in the form of crafted articles, and all the gold of the offering that they offered to the Lord, from the commanders of thousands and the commanders of hundreds, was 16,750 shekels. The troops had all taken plunder for themselves, so Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from the commanders of thousands and of hundreds and brought it into the tent of meeting as a memorial for the Israelites before the Lord. Numbers 32. Now the Reubenites and the Gadites owned a very great number of cattle. When they saw that the land of Jazer and the land of Gilead was a good place for cattle, the Gadites and the Reubenites came and spoke to Moses, to Eleazar the priest, and to the leaders of the congregation, saying, Atarot, Gibeon, Jazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Elialah, Sebam, Nebo, and Beon, the land that the Lord subdued before the congregation of Israel, is a land for cattle, and your servants have cattle. They continued, If we have found favor in your sight, let this land be given to your servants for a possession. Do not make us cross the Jordan. But Moses said to the Gadites and to the Reubenites, Shall your brothers go to war while you sit here? Why will you discourage the hearts of the Israelites from going over into the land that the Lord has given them? Your fathers did this when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to see the land. When they went up to the Wadi Eshcol and saw the land, they discouraged the hearts of the Israelites from going into the land that the Lord had given them. The Lord's anger was kindled on that day, and he swore, saying, Surely none of the people who came up out of Egypt from 20 years old and upward shall see the land that I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, because they have not unreservedly followed me. None, except Caleb son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, and Joshua son of Nun, for they have unreservedly followed the Lord. And the Lord's anger was kindled against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness for 40 years, until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of the Lord had disappeared. And now you, a brood of sinners, have risen in place of your fathers to increase the Lord's fierce anger against Israel. If you turn away from following him, he will again abandon them in the wilderness, and you will destroy all these people. Then they came up to him and said, We will build sheepfolds here for our flocks and towns for our little ones, but we will take up arms as a vanguard before the Israelites until we have brought them to their place. Meanwhile, our little ones will stay in the fortified towns because of the inhabitants of the land. We will not return to our homes until all the Israelites have obtained their inheritance. We will not inherit them on the other side of the Jordan and beyond, because our inheritance has come to us on this side of the Jordan to the east. So Moses said to them, if you do this, if you take up arms to go before the Lord for the war, and all those of you who bear arms cross the Jordan before the Lord, until he has driven out his enemies from before him, and the land is subdued before the Lord, then after that you may return and be free of obligation to the Lord and to Israel, and this land shall be your possession before the Lord. But if you do not do this, you have sinned against the Lord, and be sure your sin will find you out. Build towns for your little ones and folds for your flocks, but do what you have promised. Then the Gadites and the Reubenites said to Moses, your servants will do as my Lord commands. Our little ones, our wives, our flocks, and all our livestock shall remain there in the towns of Gilead, but your servants will cross over, everyone armed for war, to do battle for the Lord, just as my Lord orders. So Moses gave command concerning them to Eleazar the priest, to Joshua son of Nun, and to the heads of the ancestral houses of the Israelite tribes. And Moses said to them, if the Gadites and the Reubenites, everyone armed for battle before the Lord, will cross over the Jordan with you, and the land shall be subdued before you, then you shall give them the land of Gilead for a possession. But if they will not cross over with you armed, they shall have possessions among you in the land of Canaan. The Gadites and the Reubenites answered, as the Lord had spoken to your servants, so we will do. We will cross over armed before the Lord into the land of Canaan, but the possession of our inheritance shall remain with us on this side of the Jordan. Moses gave to them, to the Gadites and to the Reubenites and to the half-tribe of Manasseh son of Joseph, the kingdom of King Sihon of the Amorites and the kingdom of King Og of Bashan, the land and its towns, with the territories of the surrounding towns. And the Gadites rebuilt Dibon, Ataroth, Arior, Atroth, Shofan, Jazer, Jogbeha, Beth Nimrah, and Beth Haran, fortified cities and folds for sheep. And the Reubenites rebuilt Heshbon, Elialah, Kiriathaim, Nebo, and Baal-meon, some names being changed, and Sibmah, and they gave names to the towns that they rebuilt. The descendants of Machir, son of Manasseh, went to Gilead, captured it, and dispossessed the Amorites who were there. So Moses gave Gilead to Machir, son of Manasseh, and he settled there. Jair, son of Manasseh, went and captured the villages and renamed them Havoth Jair. And Nobah went and captured Kenath and its villages and renamed it Nobah after himself. Numbers 33. These are the stages by which the Israelites went out of the land of Egypt in military formation under the leadership of Moses and Aaron. Moses wrote down their starting points stage by command of the Lord, and these are their stages according to their starting places. They set out from Ramesses in the first month on the 15th day of the first month. On the day after the Passover, the Israelites went out boldly in the sight of all the Egyptians, while the Egyptians were burying all their firstborn, whom the Lord had struck down among them. The Lord executed judgments even against their gods. So the Israelites set out from Ramesses and camped at Succoth. They set out from Succoth and camped at Etham, which is on the edge of the wilderness. They set out from Etham and turned back to Pi-hahiroth, which faces Baal-zephon, and they camped before Migdol. They set out from Pi-hahiroth, passed through the sea into the wilderness, went a 3 days' journey in the wilderness of Etham, and camped at Marah. They set out from Marah and came to Elim. At Elim there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and they camped there. They set out from Elim and camped by the Red Sea. They set out from the Red Sea and camped in the wilderness of Sin. They set out from the wilderness of Sin and camped at Dophka. They set out from Dophka and camped at Alush. They set out from Alush and camped at Rephidim, where there was no water for the people to drink. They set out from Rephidim and camped in the wilderness of Sinai. They set out from the wilderness of Sinai and camped at Kibroth Hattaavah. They set out from Kibroth Hattaavah and camped at Hazeroth. They set out from Hazeroth and camped at Rithmah. They set out from Rithmah and camped at Rimmon Perez. They set out from Rimmon Perez and camped at Libnah. They set out from Libnah and camped at Rissah. They set out from Rissah and camped at Kehelathah. They set out from Kehelathah and camped at Mount Shepher. They set out from Mount Shepher and camped at Harada. They set out from Harada and camped at Makheloth. They set out from Makheloth and camped at Tahath. They set out from Tahath and camped at Terah. They set out from Terah and camped at Mithkah. They set out from Mithkah and camped at Hashmonah. They set out from Hashmonah and camped at Moseroth. They set out from Moseroth and camped at Bene Jaakan. They set out from Bene Jaakan and camped at Hor Haggidgad. They set out from Hor Haggidgad and camped at Jotbathah. They set out from Jotbathah and camped at Abrona. They set out from Abrona and camped at Ezion Geber. They set out from Ezion Geber and camped in the wilderness of Zin, that is Kadesh. They set out from Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor on the edge of the land of Edom. Aaron the priest went up Mount Hor at the command of the Lord and died there in the 40th year after the Israelites had come out of the land of Egypt on the first day of the 5th month. Aaron was 123 years old when he died on Mount Hor. The Canaanite, the king of Arad, who lived in the Negev in the land of Canaan, heard of the coming of the Israelites. They set out from Mount Hor and camped at Zalmunna. They set out from Zalmunna and camped at Punon. They set out from Punon and camped at Oboth. They set out from Oboth and camped at Abarim in the territory of Moab. They set out from Aim and camped at Dibon-Gad. They set out from Dibon-Gad and camped at Almon Diblathim. They set out from Almon Diblathim and camped in the mountains of Abarim before Nebo. They set out from the mountains of Abarim and camped in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho. They camped by the Jordan from Beth Jeshimoth as far as Abel Shittim in the plains of Moab. In the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you cross over the Jordan into the land of Canaan, you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you. Destroy all their disfigured stones, destroy all their cast images, and demolish all their high places. You shall take possession of the land and settle in it, for I have given you the land to possess. You shall apportion the land by lot according to your clans. To a large one you shall give a large inheritance, and to a small one you shall give a small inheritance. The inheritance shall belong to the person on whom the lot falls. According to your ancestral tribes you shall inherit. But if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then those whom you let remain shall be as barbs in your eyes and thorns in your sides, and they shall trouble you in the land where you are settling, and I will do to you as I thought to do to them." Numbers 34. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Command the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land of Canaan, this is the land that shall fall to you for an inheritance, the land of Canaan defined by its boundaries. Your south sector shall extend from the wilderness of Zin along the side of Edom. Your southern boundary shall begin from the end of the Dead Sea on the east. Your boundary shall turn south of the ascent of Akrabim and cross to Zin, and its outer limit shall be south of Kadesh Barnea. Then it shall go on to Hazar Adar and cross to Azmon. The boundary shall turn from Azmon to the Wadi of Egypt, and its termination shall be at the sea. For the western boundary, you shall have the great sea and its coast. This shall be your western boundary. This shall be your northern boundary. From the great sea, you shall mark out your line to Mount Hor. From Mount Hor, you shall mark it out to Lebo Hamath, and the outer limit of the boundary shall be at Zedad. Then the boundary shall extend to Ziphron, and its end shall be at Hazer Enan. This shall be your northern boundary. You shall mark out your eastern boundary from Hazar Enan to Shepham, and the boundary shall continue down from Shepham to Riblah on the east side of En, and the boundary shall go down and reach the eastern slope of the sea of Chinnereth, and the boundary shall go down to the Jordan, and its end shall be at the Dead Sea. This shall be your land with its boundaries all around. Moses commanded the Israelites, saying, This is the land that you shall inherit by lot, which the Lord has commanded to give to the 9 tribes and to the half tribe. For the tribe of the Reubenites by their ancestral houses and the tribe of the Gadites by their ancestral houses have taken their inheritance, and also the half tribe of Manasseh. The 2 tribes and the half tribe have taken their inheritance beyond the Jordan at Jericho eastward toward the sunrise. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, These are the names of the men who shall apportion the land to you for inheritance, the priest Eleazar and Joshua son of Nun. You shall take 1 leader for every tribe to apportion the land for inheritance. These are the names of the men. Of the tribe of Judah, Caleb son of Jephunneh. Of the tribe of the Simeonites, Shemuel son of Ammihud. Of the tribe of Benjamin, Elidad son of Chislon. Of the tribe of the Danites, a leader, Bukki son of Jogli. Of the Josephites, of the tribe of the Manassites, a leader, Haniel son of Ephod. And of the tribe of the Ephraimites, a leader, Kemuel son of Shiptan. Of the tribe of the Zebulunites, a leader, Elizaphan son of Panak. Of the tribe of the Issacharites, a leader, Paltiel son of Azan. And of the tribe of the Asherites, a leader, Ahihud son of Shelomi. Of the tribe of the Naphtalites, a leader, Pedahel son of Ammihud. These were the ones whom the Lord commanded to apportion the inheritance for the Israelites in the land of Canaan.